Patrice Lumumba, Congo, former president. Now me share the way you more treaty no, virtually you shoot no, no, the whites no, almost dissolving the body in acid. Make sure how wicked the white man is. Almost dissolving with the help of stupid black men. Almost dissolving Patrice Lumumba, the body no acid. And almost jana semba kunom they call Belgium. Kwame Nkrumah, CIA, they connive with some of the stupid people of Ghana, and they overthrew him because of what they saw. Said this man was craving for the independence of the mind of the black people. Because so Nelson Mandela, when he was saying, said apartheid is evil, what did they do? They imprisoned him. One thing is for sure. O'Brien said the moment the black man will be liberated mentally, the white man is doomed. And then France to a sunny in actually said, gold na ye de call in raw form na France enya hono onya bie. And then suno a black man has been able to portray say it is possible. That is what is happening. It's what would hear me. We need to protect Ibrahim Traore at all costs. Wakanya Chumbia war African leaders. When they come, they say we are united. But behind the scenes, then they are dealing with the white supremacy. And then Wabakasa said, Nyachum what African leaders want.
Hello, keep watching Expo GH, the best channel on all of YouTube. Yes.
Hello, hi, Xposed FM Ben Bruce. On subscribe to now on Akabi. Ibrahim Traore still causing waves in the world. Na wakanya chumbia what African leaders. When they come, they say we are united. But behind the scenes, then they are dealing with the white supremacy. And then Wabakasa said, nya chumne what African leaders ono. Wano do nya chum. No kawo bedwam and no kawo kukuam.
In a bold and unexpected move, Captain Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso, has decided to expose the hypocrisy of certain African leaders who publicly announced the expulsion of French military forces from their countries, while secretly maintaining close ties with France behind closed doors. Since Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger collectively decided to remove French military bases from their territories, France has been left humiliated, struggling to mask its declining influence in the region. The forced withdrawals have exposed France's long-standing covert operations and neo-colonial agenda in these nations. However, rather than accept defeat, France has swiftly altered its strategy. France has realized that these three nations, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, are gaining overwhelming support from across the African continent. Their deceptive tactics have been laid bare, forcing them to change course. You may wonder how. Let me make it clear. France is now pretending to withdraw its forces from every African nation that has demanded their departure, but this is nothing more than a calculated shift in strategy. Take, for example, Chad, Senegal, and now Ivory Coast, countries that have recently demanded the removal of French troops. Among these nations, Ivory Coast stands out as a case study in deception. While its government claims to be expelling French forces, the reality is that France is orchestrating this so-called withdrawal to maintain its grip through indirect means. This shift is part of a larger French strategy to abandon its outdated method of direct military presence in favour of the British-style proxy rule, where puppet governments continue to serve colonial interests under the illusion of independence. Captain Ibrahim Traore has been vocal about this deception. In a recent address, he made it clear that merely removing foreign military advisors does not equate to sovereignty. He stated, "As long as these military advisors are there, you are not independent. Your army will just have the appearance of an army, which will be there doing parades, circus. But when war comes, you will realize that the parade is one thing, but war is another thing. We must break the agreements. It is the only way to have an independent army and to build ourselves and be strong." His words serve as a wake-up call to African nations that have yet to fully sever colonial ties. You see, let me give you my take on all these and what many people don't understand. With this latest announcement from Ivory Coast, my suspicions have been confirmed. The recent wave of French military expulsions across former French colonies is not about genuine liberation. It is merely a tactical repositioning of power. Unlike the Sahel states, which have taken decisive action to dismantle neo-colonial structures, other African nations are merely following a scripted policy change dictated by France. Kicking French troops out of your country is not enough. If Ivory Coast truly seeks independence, it must follow the path of the Sahel states by 1. Severing all colonial-era agreements that continue to exploit the country, 2. Nationalising key industries such as cocoa, gold and oil to benefit the people rather than foreign corporations, 3. Withdrawing all foreign reserves from the Bank of France and reclaiming total control over national finances, 4. Gaining full economic and political autonomy, ensuring that no external power dictates domestic policies. Printing and managing its own currency, free from foreign influence. Until these steps are taken, any so-called expulsion of French troops remains an illusion. True freedom requires breaking the chains of financial, economic, and political dependence, not just a superficial military withdrawal. The battle for Africa's true independence is far from over. To thoroughly examine today's topic, we will delve into two pivotal speeches. The remarks made by French President Emmanuel Macron criticising African leaders and the emphatic response from Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. This analysis will unpack the implications of their statements, the historical context, and the broader significance for African sovereignty and identity. Emmanuel Macron commenced his speech with a provocative assertion. African leaders forgot to thank us. None of them would be today with a sovereign country if the French army had not deployed. This statement serves as a launching point for Macron's narrative, which suggests that France is the benefactor of African nations' sovereignty. However, such a claim is steeped in historical manipulation and oversimplification. First, by generalizing his criticism to encompass African leaders, Macron deliberately obscures the nuanced realities of various nations. He targets the Sahel states but fails to acknowledge the distinct political and historical context of each country. This lack of specificity not only undermines the legitimacy of his claims, but also perpetuates a colonial mindset that views African nations as a monolith, disregarding their unique struggles and achievements. Furthermore, Macron's implication that African nations owe their existence to French military interventions is a profound distortion of history. It overlooks the sacrifices made by African soldiers during both world wars. These individuals fought for France, often facing discrimination and erasure from historical narratives. The exclusion of African troops from victory parades, as executed by General de Gaulle, demonstrates a blatant disregard for their contributions. This act of whitewashing history serves to reinforce the idea that France's liberation was achieved independently of its African allies. The historical context is further complicated by the aftermath of World War II. After the war, when African soldiers sought their promised wages and pensions, France responded with violence, exemplified by the Traore massacre on December 1, 1944. This brutal repression starkly contrasts with Macron's portrayal of a benevolent France, revealing the hypocrisy inherent in his statements about gratitude. Additionally, Macron's assertion that none of them would be today with a sovereign country ignores the fact that the French state has historically exploited its former colonies. Following the war, General de Gaulle implemented the CFA franc as a monetary system to stabilize France's economy at the expense of African nations. This system is often described as a form of neo-colonialism, perpetuating economic dependency and reinforcing the idea that African nations are incapable of self-sustenance without French intervention. The CFA franc, a direct borrow from the oppressive monetary policies used by the Nazis, stands as a symbol of France's continued economic control over its former colonies. Furthermore, Macron's claim regarding the necessity of French military presence overlooks the complexities of regional security. His assertion that African nations would not have sovereignty without French intervention is fundamentally flawed. The reality is that France has often exacerbated instability in the region, as seen in Libya. The overthrow of Gaddafi, supported by France and NATO, led to the proliferation of weapons and unrest across North Africa, ultimately contributing to the rise of terrorism in Mali and surrounding countries. By creating the very conditions of instability, France then positioned itself as a saviour, a tactic that reveals a deeply ingrained hypocrisy. Moreover, it is crucial to note that Mali's request for French intervention was misrepresented. While the interim president Traore initially saw aerial support, he did not request ground troops. France manipulated this situation to justify its military presence, further illustrating the pattern of neo-colonial behaviour that Macron's rhetoric embodies. In response to Macron's remarks, Captain Ibrahim Traore's speech was not merely a rebuttal, it represented a significant assertion of African dignity and agency. He characterised Macron's statements as an insult to all Africans, turning the narrative on its head. Traore proclaimed, "It is thanks to our ancestors that there is France. He should pray to Africans every morning." This statement challenges the paternalistic tone of Macron's remarks, asserting that Africa's history and contributions to France should not be overlooked or diminished. Traore's call for a decolonization of mentalities is a critical point of focus. He emphasizes that real independence for African nations involves not just political autonomy, but a fundamental shift in mindset. This is a call to action for Africans to recognize their potential and to reject the remnants of colonial thought that may linger in contemporary governance and self-perception. His declaration that the fight against imperialism is permanent encapsulates the ongoing struggle faced by many African nations. It acknowledges that the legacy of colonialism is not just a historical footnote, but a current reality that requires continuous resistance. By characterizing the current situation as a necessary evil, Traore underscores the importance of awareness and consciousness among Africans about their historical and cultural identity. In conclusion, the exchanges between Macron and Traore highlight a broader dialogue concerning colonial legacies, sovereignty, and the quest for true independence. Macron's speech, steeped in historical denial and a paternalistic worldview, stands in stark contrast to Traore's assertive declaration of African agency and dignity. The path forward demands collective action among African nations, emphasizing self-sufficiency, economic independence, and a rejection of outdated colonial frameworks. This dialogue is not merely an academic exercise, it is a vital component of Africa's ongoing journey toward genuine autonomy and self-determination.
Yes, and Rana Michelle, Patrice Lumumba, Congo, former presidents. Na me share the way more treaty no virtually you shoot no the whites no dissolving the body in acid. Make sure how wicked the white man is. Dissolving with the help of stupid black men. Dissolving Patrice Lumumba the body no acid mu and jana simba they call Belgium. Bonnie Ben oye. I say Ghana I say Africa we need a voice to talk. I say Belgium go. America take your way. We rule ourselves. And we need the cool no. Me koso. Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah. CIA. They connive with some of the stupid people of Ghana and they overthrew him. Because of what? They saw say this man was craving for the independence of the mind of the black people. Because so Nelson Mandela, when he was saying say apartheid is evil, what did they do? They imprisoned him. The list goes on and on and on. Martin Luther King and all those people. One thing is for sure. O'Brien said the moment the black man will be liberated mentally, the white man is doomed. And then France to us sunny in actually say gold na ye de call raw form na France enya hono onya biem. And then France to us sunny say other African countries are learning from the experience and the work of the three Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. Say it is time Africa stands up. And then suno musuno say a black man has been able to portray say it is possible. That is what is happening. It's what would hear me. We need to protect Ibrahim Traore at all costs. Say leader be you bet me looking up to a leader who will say no to the West, a leader who will take the bull by the horns and fight. Now me looking up to Africa is doomed. And until then now make us say Ibrahim ba akunyane sono 19 times he has been what? Attempted what? Assassination on his life. By Nyami Ohatasro, or say Emrena Son, he has what? Invaded all. 19 in 2 years. And this assassination is being done by the French people. He's consulted with some stupid people from Burkina Faso. But God has been grateful. And one thing I made the America say, if this man is fighting good for Africa, we should join him. Now, I didn't see Burkina Faso. And now I'm reading. Now I'm saying, hey, what is this? What do you mean, Burkina Faso? They are manufacturing electric cars. You heard me right. TA. And can't say Ghana is Ghana does not manufacture cars. We assemble. Burkina Faso has manufactured its own electric cars. A plus for Africa. Let's go and see it.
The market with the native and the Sahel models, amongst several others, signifies a commitment to addressing both the specific needs of the local population and the pressing global concerns surrounding climate change. The Sahel in particular, with its impressive reported range of 330 kilometers on a single charge, and its suite of modern features including a touchscreen dashboard, GPS navigation, Bluetooth connectivity, and advanced safety systems like ABS braking and traction control, demonstrates that Itawa is not simply producing basic transportation. It is aiming to compete in the contemporary automotive arena, offering vehicles that are both functional and technologically advanced. Aside from building charging stations all over the country, these cars can also charge directly from the sun. This ambition is vital to shifting perceptions of African manufacturing capabilities and asserting a place on the global stage. The Itawa Sahel, with a range of 331 kilometers, also has a digital dashboard and a touchscreen, a built-in GPS navigation system, a reversing camera and a parking sensor, a Bluetooth connection, and a USB port. In terms of safety, it also offers power steering, ABS braking and traction control, as well as front and side airbags. It should also be noted that in the coming days, we will receive other models, specifically regarding the Itawa Zakon, with a range of 500 kilometers. However, the true significance of Itawa lies in its commitment to local production. The establishment of an assembly and manufacturing plant in Ouagadougou is not just a symbolic gesture. It is a strategic move that addresses several key aspects of Traore's vision for Burkina Faso. First and foremost, it directly contributes to economic independence. By manufacturing vehicles domestically, Itawa significantly reduces Burkina Faso's reliance on costly imports, injecting capital into the local economy and creating much-needed jobs. This fosters a sense of economic self-sufficiency, a cornerstone of Traore's policies, which seek to empower Burkinabe's citizens and reduce the nation's vulnerability to external economic pressures. By choosing Itawa, you are not only choosing a means of transportation, you are choosing a vision, a movement towards sustainable mobility. You become an integral part of a community that values innovation, quality, and respect for our environment. Every time you take the wheel of an Itawa vehicle, you participate in a collective adventure, that of building a greener and more prosperous Burkina Faso. This local production also fosters the development of a skilled workforce, vital for long-term economic growth. It is also important to note that the establishment of a local assembly plant is a catalyst for technological advancement within Burkina Faso. The transfer of technical skills and the development of local expertise in a complex field, like automotive manufacturing, contribute to the country's overall technological capabilities. This is critical for breaking the cycle of dependency on foreign technology and know-how, allowing Burkina Faso to become a producer of technology rather than simply a consumer. Before we continue, please support our effort to keep bringing these videos by donating a super thanks of any amount to the channel. Thank you. Itawa, therefore, becomes a training ground for a new generation of Burkinabe engineers and technicians, driving innovation and fostering a culture of technological advancement. Vehicles vary depending on their range. A vehicle with a range of 201 kilometers cannot be the same price as a vehicle with a range of 331 kilometers. Thus, the least expensive model currently offered in the showroom is the 201-kilometer one at 7.5 million CFA. An after-sales service will be set up on the routes where electric mobility will be developed. Amazingly, Itawa just happens to be a tangible representation of what Burkina Faso can achieve, inspiring its citizens and projecting an image of progress and capability to the rest of the world. Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership has been defined by a resolute focus on severing ties with traditional patterns of dependency and cultivating a spirit of self-reliance among the Burkinabe people. Itawa perfectly embodies this vision. Traore's repeated calls for citizens to consume what they produce and invest in their own country find a direct echo in Itawa's business model. By producing vehicles locally, encouraging local consumption, and reinvesting profits within Burkina Faso, Itawa is putting this principle into action. Similarly, Traore's emphasis on technological sovereignty is reflected in Itawa's focus on local manufacturing and the development of indigenous expertise. This reduces reliance on foreign technology and empowers Burkinabe citizens to control their own technological destiny. The path ahead for Itawa is not without its challenges, however. Establishing a thriving automotive industry requires substantial investment, ongoing technological development, and the creation of a robust and reliable supply chain. However, the company is also presented with significant opportunities. The global market for electric vehicles is expanding rapidly, offering Itawa a growing customer base. The unwavering support from the Burkinabe government provides a stable and encouraging environment for the company's growth and development. Furthermore, Itawa has the potential to expand its reach beyond Burkina Faso, tapping into the wider West African market and becoming a regional leader in sustainable transportation. So this is much more than just an electric car company. It is a symbol of Burkina Faso's aspirations for a powerful, independent, and self-sufficient future. By championing local production, technological advancement, and sustainable development, Itawa aligns seamlessly with Captain Ibrahim Traore's vision for the nation. While obstacles undoubtedly lie ahead, Itawa represents a significant leap forward for Burkina Faso, offering a compelling example of African innovation, resilience.
Aye. So we are mashing 2 years in power. We're changing the destiny of the Burkinabe people. Remember a similar person, Rwanda. He changed and he has transformed Rwanda to be what? The foremost country in Africa. And then Burkina Faso, when they are talking, they'll hold their chest in pride. Why? Because one man, a woman will say, they are not low-life people. First, okay, so Burkina Faso are now ferry, and then Burkina be a bonny or both pride. Because there will be a biomany. Africa, Jimmy doors. So it's time for someone to shine an eye. And I hope our president is looking at it. Burkina Faso has been able to pay its debts. $4.6 billion to the IMF. They said they don't need the IMF again. And then they are independent. True independence. True. No joke. The independence is not the day that they left. It's the day that you mentally, you became liberated in your mind. So it's time to take what? The bull by the horns. Yeah, now we are not independent yet too. We are still under colonialism. And yes, IMF, conditions. And until our leaders are able, say it's time liberating from the IMF and the imperialists, we shall never be free. So I'm telling our leaders, say, stop this 4-wheel drive stuff. That's not what we need. We need leadership that will take us from the shackles of poverty, from the shackles of what? The imperialists, the white supremacy. Take us from there because we don't need it. I expose GHFM members. Also subscribe, subscribe. Meditun pa na wasakabi. Manuesi.
Exp0sed, the best channel on all of YouTube. Yes.